Welcome to our program from the European Parliament. Warm welcome also to our guests and hosts in the Studio One in Brussels, Mr. Lambert van Nistelrooij, MEP from the Netherlands and coordinator in the Committee of Regional Development of the EPP Group, and Ivana Maletić, MEP from Croatia and member of the REGI Committee and Econ Committee. My name is Alen Legović. The purpose of our program is better communication about the EU projects on innovation, on startups, explaining the MFF negotiations and engaging the citizens, presenting our ongoing initiative, Let the Stars Shine. Thank you for joining us. Today we will talk about Innovation Summit in Europe, a global leader in science, technology and innovation, negotiations on Multiannual Financial Framework and Horizon Europe. We will talk about EU startup competition and Let the Stars Shine initiative, which is connected with the session EU-Cohesion Policy, strengthening innovation in Europe's regions. So let's go. Mr. van Nistelrooij, we are ahead of an important event. European Innovation Summit is celebrating its 10th anniversary. Can you indicate how the summit has developed? What does the summit mean to the position of the European Parliament in the innovation debate?
Thank you very much for giving this opportunity. In fact, when I came in the Parliament, the key attention in the debates was on fundamental science. And I came from a region, from the Netherlands, and I wanted to have more the innovation, rolling out of knowledge into services and products in the debate. And this didn't happen. So we invited people from outside the Parliament to come and to have a week debate, the Knowledge for Innovation Summit in the Parliament. And we did it now for 10 years, so this was the start.
Mrs. Maletić, you are chair of the Knowledge for Innovation Forum of the European Parliament. How important is strong engagement for innovation in Europe today? What is ahead and what are our European results after 10 years? And what is your position of the European Parliament in the innovation debate?
Thank you very much for this question. Actually, I'm newly appointed President of the Knowledge for Innovation in the European Parliament, but Mr. Lambert van Nistelrooij was dealing as a President with this important topic all these 10 years up to now. So because of that, he can tell a lot what was achieved and how they actually started and what was done. But from this, what I saw, and because of that, I was really very happy to follow all discussion from the very beginning when I started to work in the European Parliament. So I really like the topic, and Lambert was always very delighted with this topic, and he tried somehow to also engage us more and show us what we can achieve. And actually I really like the fact that we could act in a positive way, in a way that we fight for partnership all over the European Union for innovation, also to develop new policies, to somehow try to push European Commission to act more in a way to prepare more evidence-based regulation which is needed, and to engage more with all entrepreneurs and innovators, to have them on board while discussing new policies and new regulation. And this is all what was achieved through this all activities done by Knowledge for Innovation here in the European Parliament, and I'm very proud of that, because we really tried somehow to push more in a way to put innovation at the right place, because without innovation we cannot answer different societal challenges in fields which are extremely important for the everyday life of the citizens, like energy, water, medicine, new technologies, everything, so digital, everything what is now very present and needed.
As you said, Innovation Summit has contributed to strengthening the innovation theme among policy makers. Are we doing enough to popularize the theme with our citizens? And what about initiative Let the Stars Shine, which you and your colleagues, Mr. van Nistelrooij, started and presented in an exhibition this summer and in a book with 40 success stories from 9 different EU countries? What has to happen that not only the projects from the Let the Stars Shine show and better explain to the citizens that Europe is making the lives of European citizens simpler and safer, and that there are many examples of that?
Yeah, with the upcoming European elections next year, this is the key question in all the fields. But let me be more concrete. Europe was very good in the fundamental science, as I said, but the translation to the concrete solutions were not communicated that well. And very often, if you got some European money, after the finalization of such a project, you didn't hear too much about it. So sometimes I say, you need two to tango. You need to partner stronger. And here, the Let the Stars Shine project is an initiative of EPP, of the EPP Group in the Parliament with 8 members. We have looked to good examples and to make them speak, to make them communicate. It's not a one-sided communication. It's, like you said, to be proud of the results in several fields, in health, etc., to make quality of life better and to solve the important problems that people feel in their daily life. So this is the project. Let's communicate better. There is a big chance in the new media.
So strengthening innovation in Europe's regions and connecting and linking it with an initiative like Let the Stars Shine, Mrs. Maletić, EU cohesion policy is very important for Croatia as the youngest EU member state, but it is also important for a number of other EU countries. Projects like Let the Stars Shine should bring more EU visibility among EU citizens and should better explain your work and the functioning of the European Union. However, since Europe's achievements are everywhere, they have become unnoticed. What are your experiences in Croatia with EU perception and EU projects?
Exactly. First, cohesion policy is about solidarity, and because of that is extremely important for the whole Europe, even in those countries where the funds and impact of the funds is not so high. But again, the impact from the fact that other countries are developing is very visible than in even more developed countries. So because of that, we should really work more on visibility of the investment, that people really see that this is something what is triggered from the European budget, from the fact that we are belonging to this family, European family. And somehow I feel that people in practice, they have so many challenges while dealing with European funds, so many obstacles that sometimes they talk more about these difficulties than at the end benefits from the funds. And we have, because of that, to talk more on what are the results, what was reached, what we really solved in practice. And because of that, we started all these communication activities, and we will, of course, continue with that. This is the only way. But when we are preparing the programs and when we are deciding where to invest, we should involve people more. And this is the most important, involvement of the people while defining the priorities, and then after that in implementation, of course.
European Union and you, MEPs, and we all together are in an important moment. Negotiations on the multi-annual financial framework and Horizon Europe. Mr. van Nistelrooij, what are the biggest challenges for you MEPs, for politics in general, and how to explain the whole process, importance and added value to the citizens, especially results coming from the outcome of the MFF negotiations, and how do you rate the state of affairs of Horizon Europe file? Are we doing what is necessary?
I think so. We make good steps. First and for all, there will be a bigger budget for research and innovation as such, and even European Innovation Council with experts helping the countries and regions and cities to show what they are doing. The second thing is important, that Europe has formulated now their missions. For instance, in the climate area, to be the leader in the world in several fields. And the second thing is important that we connect different funds in a better way. It's not the professor who brings the solution. It's the professor with his students and with the new startups and the industry together in a region that makes steps forward in these big changes. And the last thing, what's very important is that we bring instruments for risk sharing, because if you start a company or if you want to change something in a new method of sustainable energy, sometimes you have to invest a lot, and the earning back moment is in 6, 7 or 10 years. And there Europe comes in with a lot of risk sharing money that makes people able to invest and make this step. So closer together, absolutely. In this direction we can do with the same money more.
Mrs. Maletić, like many other MEPs, you are campaigning in Croatia, explaining Croatian citizens the MFF challenges. What are the most frequent questions, and what is your main message to Croatian citizens, but also to the EU institutions who are deciding on MFF for the time period starting from 2021?
They always ask about future of cohesion policy, of course, and I was surprised when even some participants in different conferences here in Brussels from Baltic states, for example, asked me, will we really have European funds after 2020? Is cohesion policy dying? And these kind of things. And even in Croatia, I got one question from it's a university, and they told me, do you think, is it good to continue with education about EU projects, since maybe we will not have any more cohesion policy in future? Then I was really surprised, and I told them, no, of course, that cohesion policy will continue, and we see that from the new MFF, but there is a decrease. And this is a problem. And this decrease was explained because of Brexit, but the fact is that the total budget is not decreased. But in this total budget, which is not decreased, cohesion policy is decreased. And we have huge cut in cohesion fund, even 46%. Then in social fund, 7%. In total cohesion policy, 11%. So this is huge cut, and people are worried because of this. And I'm trying to explain that now our position of the European Parliament is not to allow this cut, because the overall budget is not decreased, and that we all understand, and that common understanding in European Union is that cohesion policy is the basic solidarity policy, which is extremely important for the future of the whole European Union, and that we need investments from the cohesion policy in everyday life. And because of that, we are working together, Mr. Van Nistelrooij and me and all other colleagues in the REGI committee. We are working together to accelerate the implementation and simplify the procedure to really show that cohesion policy is needed, and that we can achieve with cohesion policy much more in the European Union.
And of course, more and more explanation about MMF negotiations are needing for the citizens. We are doing our part today in this program. And from MFF, we move now to the EU Startup Competition, which is organized for the second time. Mr. Van Nistelrooij, last year the competition was a big success. Could you share with us the numbers and one or more very positive and excellent examples of the startups?
Yes, we are really booming when you look to the startup scene in Europe, and this is important that young people, or maybe older people, start their own company and can grow. In fact, we had the whole plenary hall, our main the parliamentary hall, together filled with the startups, and 50 of those were really able to pitch, to show their products. It went from, for instance, the drones that can deliver new services, apps for healthcare. They did a lot of things on new materials, for instance. So many different fields where young people together also with the initiative of European Institute for Innovation and Technology are really growing. And this is exactly what 10 years ago we meant when we started Knowledge for Innovation. This is the key point, what we should do. Otherwise, you never get to jobs. You never reach your aims. It's not just the university. These normal, young, well-educated people throughout Europe, from the new member states like Croatia to my country as the Netherlands and all those in between. And this year we have them again in the parliament. I hope that the new parliament after the elections take this line and gives full light to the startups.
And we are looking forward to this conference, EU Top 50 Startups in Brussels next week. And last but not least, you are both members of the Committee on Regional Development. How do you think cohesion policy and Horizon can strengthen each other?
My answer, and I worked in the Parliament in the last months on a report how to bring these funds together. There's a lot of money. 1/3 of the European budget is still going to cohesion policy for regions and cities to make their own development and to create jobs and to be more sustainable and social. And the research, all the knowledge that's coming from the Horizon Europe program. And I have a strong belief that where you make your own choices, your own, let me say, targets to work on, whether it's automobility or whether it's a bio-based economy or whether it's another social innovation in your city, this can deliver an enormous added value. And there, I think, don't play in every subject in a European competition. It's like football. No, you can't. There where you bring your good proposals, you are open, in fact, from cohesion, from the local and regional level, to work together with your universities and create this competitive Europe we are looking at.
Thank you, Ms. van Nistelrooij. Mrs. Maletić, what is
Exactly. This is very important for what Lambert stressed, and you asked actually because we always have to ask ourselves, what is the result of our investments in cohesion policy? Do we really achieve something with what we changed life of our citizens and improved life conditions? And do we really change the environment and create conditions for new generations? And of course that this is not possible if we only think on infrastructural projects and if cohesion policy is only somehow focused on this. So we have to think broader, and if we want to do that, then we have to think about research, innovation, new technology, new way of thinking, and exactly what Lambert also stressed, how to answer to all these societal challenges. So we all talk about food for all, innovation in agriculture, healthcare, new way of healthcare, how to improve the healthcare for the citizens, about digital transformation, clean energy. Without innovation and research, we cannot succeed. And this is why we have to combine, and for less developed country, if they have to repeat everything on their way to develop, everything what was done in more developed country, then it will be very slow. So it's much better if we combine the knowledge and if we support and help less developed country to do big jump, and to succeed then in a quick way, taking all this experience from more developed countries. And this is what we can do with innovation and combining Horizon with cohesion policy.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And we hope that with this program we also are doing maybe a small jump to inform you, our European citizens. And these are the final words of a very interesting debate on Innovation Summit, MFF, Cohesion Policy, Horizon Europe, and the initiative Let the Stars Shine, and the Future of Europe by our guests, Mrs. Ivana Maletić from Croatia and Mr. Lambert van Nistelrooij, both MEPs from the Netherlands and Croatia and members of the European People's Party in the European Parliament, members of the Committee on Regional Development. And thanks to our technicians and sound engineers behind the cameras. I'm Alen Legović. Thank you for joining us, and don't forget, let's promote ambitious Europe and let the stars shine.